What is going on, YouTube? Pass the prop back for NFL Week 7 already. We're coming at you guys. Ton of bye weeks. So we have a little smaller slate for you guys this week, but here to break it down nonetheless. Join us always by my guy, Stu. What's good, man?
Yeah, no, I'm obviously excited. Week 7, it feels kind of crazy to say at this point, but hey, we're here. We're up, 7 units, 6 units, something like that so far on the season. So it's good to have a good start. I'm excited to build on it for the second half of the season. And like you said, it's an interesting slate. For DFS, we kind of talk about like stars and scrubs lineups. That's what the slate is kind of like to me, right? We have some high end games, we have some good teams facing each other, and then we have all the bad teams facing each other as well. So I like that more than blowouts. I'd rather bad teams play each other than good teams crush bad teams. So I'll take it. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's a good week of games for sure. I'm definitely just looking at all I'm looking at the slate right now, man. It's I think we should have some good spots. We should have good spots on the slate for this week. And we are missing six bye teams this week. Making my fantasy team a little tough to navigate.
Yeah, no, that's I did the Sportstopia waiver show the other day, and we had a lot of questions. A lot of people were in some very rough spots as well. And then we talked conundrum yesterday. I don't know about you. I'm streaming a bye week quarterback, so good luck out there. Either Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor, whichever one you start, is going to have a pretty good game for my fantasy team this week. But hey,
Yeah,
actually, it can't be much worse than Dak Prescott. That's who my quarterback's been. So it's not like, just so we're clear, it's not like I'm missing out on some all-star here. I'm replacing trash with more trash.
Yeah, I played Christian Kirk in 2 of 3 leagues last night, so that was fun. But yeah, not a bad game. Obviously, I was on the Jaguars there. Happy to see that they came through because God, I fucking hate the Saints. I hate that team so much, dude. They should not be allowed on primetime, bro. It's the worst team in football. Worst offense to watch in football because at least when you go to like the shit teams, they're at least enjoyable to watch, right? Their games are enjoyable, right? Like the Cardinals, you can look at those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Jets, they're at least competing and their defense is good. Like there is nothing good about the Saints team at all. Like I can't even say one positive thing.
Yeah, it's a rough watch. You think they would have learned their lesson after that, like week 2 Panthers Saints game or whatever? That was like the slowest game of the season earlier this year. Because we can flex games now too, I believe. We're finally, I think after week 6, I believe, is the window, and they decided not to. They decided this was a worthwhile game, and unfortunately we paid the consequences as fans.
Yeah, gross. Absolutely gross. And I was saying to you before the show, let's just recap our spots here. Obviously, yours cashed in with that was pretty easy, man. Pretty easy. Obviously, ETN, again, 2 tutties. This man's on fire right now.
Yeah, no, first half cash right here. Obviously, Kamara soared over that receptions number. We thought that 13 receptions game was an outlier, but maybe not, because like you said, this offense is terrible. And when you don't know what to do, when in doubt, check it down to the running back. And that's exactly what happened in this game.
Yeah, no, and I was talking to you about mine before the show, and I'm like, dude, there's like losses, and then there's just like these ones that are just like I don't understand what you're doing. Like I don't understand your logic here, right? Because we hit this if they don't run the ball 3 times in a row with Alvin Kamara on the 1 yard line, right? When we end up hitting this and we're sitting here talking about a sweep again. But you run your running back who's already got 20 plus touches already with catches, and you have Taysom Hill and Jamal Williams both I know can get me 1 yard, and you run it 3 times, dude. The same play, pretty much the same play, can't get anything. And it's just like everybody was bitching at Derek Carr, right? And Derek Carr is awful, right? Don't get me wrong, he's terrible. But I mean, that offensive coordinator has got to be the worst I've ever seen. Like the play calling is awful. It's atrocious.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, like you said, obviously the red zone decision making. I mean, they're the second worst red zone offense in football, only behind the Giants, who didn't score a touchdown for the first 4 weeks. Right, that's like the same level you're on right here. So it's. I mean, we talked about it even before the game. It's a bad coaching staff right here. And man, Kamara, I mean, any running back that starts the game 8 for 9, you think is going to go under, right? You see the 8 for 9, you're like, okay, this guy's touching the ball 3 or 4 more times max. But unfortunately, we got those, inefficient red zone plays at the end.
Yeah, dude, wild, absolutely wild to me. But hey, That's why those guys probably won't have jobs much longer, and I was just happy they ended up losing the game. I do like Foster Moreau, though, so that was unfortunate. I wish it was like a Derek Carr pick that would have lost him the game, and then I would have just been happier. Did you just see this dude yelling at everybody? Like, dude, you're not good. You can't yell at people like that. Like, you got to be good to do that, bro.
It happened after every drive. Like, the cameraman caught it right after halftime and was like, oh, boy, he's going to keep doing this. And they caught him like, what are you? You're overthrowing guys out of bounds 10 yards and then chirping Olave down the sideline. That wasn't a catchable pass. That was to the sideline right there. That looked like a throwaway on the first watch. Like, I have no clue where that confidence comes from for Carr to be blaming other people for their offense. And I was a Carr defender too. I don't before the season. I've been on the wrong side of this so far this year, but I can't keep defending it after what we've seen so far.
Yeah, obviously one of my props preseason was Chris Olave, and I think it's looking pretty good because they're going to be losing a lot of damn games, and I'm going to be happy about it because, my God, I need them to be losing in some of these games because, like, dude, not to be mean, but how long before Kamara gets hurt, bro? Like, seriously. This dude's getting 30-plus touches. We've seen only one back do it. That's McCaffrey for 2 years, and then he got injury-prone. Like, bro, McCaffrey's jacked. Kamara ain't jacked, bro. He literally needs the other guy there, like Ingram, Jamal Williams, but they're not even using Williams anymore. How long, dude? It's probably, 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
It feels like it. I mean, it's unfortunate. He's just coming back from injury as well, right? This is a guy that struggled to stay on the field these last couple of years. And yeah, we're in an era where, offensive coordinators have gotten away from this bell cow strategy. But like we said, this team is kind of stuck in the past right here.
Yeah, dude, I'm kind of nervous, bro, because the dude's putting 30 touches on the ball, and I mean, they're not efficient either. So it's just like I don't understand what you're
not at all. They're not at all. He's had one explosive run all year long, one past 15 yards this year. Like that's not a guy you want to touch the ball 30 times a game.
Yeah, kind of gross. But hey, we can now no longer talk about that game, thank God. And let's get to our plasma game here of the week. Stu, there's a lot of games to choose from that are good, right? I mean, there's not as many games as usual, like volume-wise, but there are some good spots. Where are you looking here? Are you going the obvious one?
I'm going Lions-Ravens. That's going to be my favorite game of the week. I think to some people, I know the Chiefs-Chargers is probably the obvious one right there, but these are two teams that I kind of said at the beginning of the week. I think they're on the precipice of being those Super Bowl level contenders. They're not quite there yet, but they're kind of in the way there, right? They're on the road. And to me, I'm just very curious to see who wins this one. We have a lot of interesting factors at play right here. The Lions are getting a lot of hype. We're even seeing some Jared Goff MVP ticket. It was the most bet ticket since last week, apparently, in the futures market. So people are getting in on the Jared Goff train. On the other side, the Ravens have looked a little bit ugly, but they're still 3-point favorites right here at home. I think that's going to be a great game. Super excited for that one.
Yeah, and I think the Chargers Chiefs would be number one, but how is the Eagles Miami not your number one pick, right? I mean, that's so tough. You get a primetime game that's actually good.
Yeah.
Right? A huge primetime game that's actually good. Because all these Sunday night games have been ass, right? They've been terrible, absolutely terrible. And now you get this. Like, this is a huge, huge step up. And I'm kind of excited to see what happens here. Obviously, Mostert continues to just be an absolute workhorse. I'm excited to see what happens here with McDaniel against this Eagles defense that is injured, right? So is he just going to cook these guys into oblivion and then we just watch? Because I've been wanting, I know you talked about it too. These Eagles games have been just so slow. What do you do here? What do you do? Because if Miami gets up big right away, 14 points first quarter, which they've been doing to everybody, making you play behind, besides that Carolina game where Bryce Young looked good for 2 drives. But I'm interested, man. I'm interested to see what it looks like. Obviously, 51.5 total, biggest on the slate. I'm pumped, dude. I'm really excited. I'm really surprised that they're almost 3-point dogs, Miami.
Yeah, the one thing too, if Jalen Ramsey was back for this game, that would be sick. I know he finally returned to practice as well, but I'm excited for this one, no doubt about it. It's a primetime game, so obviously we'll all be tuned in watching this one. Oh, for me, I don't know who's going to win, but I'm super excited. I don't know about you. I don't want to get into it too deep. I probably lean the Eagles right now, but it kind of sounds like you're more on the other side with the Dolphins. For me, I would just say, look what happens in the 2 games they played a real defense so far this season. They were both held under 25 points against the Bills and Patriots. So Eagles have a pretty solid defense. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I just remember the Eagles just getting tossed around there first by Stafford in that first half when Stafford had the ball, right? And Miami's offensive line has been great. If they can keep Tua up, bro, it's gonna be. I think he has an absolute field day, bro. I think he has an absolute field day because if we're watching Stafford cook these guys, right? Obviously, that was Cooper Cup arriving back, and he had a nice game in that one as well. What are you gonna do with Tyreek, Jalen Waddle now, right? They're both
Yeah.
healthy, fully healthy, both of them, man, and that's what makes them tough. Is my God, dude, that offense is just firing everywhere, and you can't double because then they'll just run it, and they're getting like 5 yards before contact because it's just so spread out, dude. It's so hard to stop, and I'm excited to watch that one for sure.
Yeah, if I were the Eagles, man, that's tough. I think the way the Eagles have to play it is you just have to trust your front line to win, and you got to bring everyone else back. The linebackers are on coverage duty. Everyone is worried about Tyreek Hill in motion. And if Raheem Mostert beats you, Raheem Mostert beats you. Because at the end of the day, that rush defense has been good so far. And I think that'll be the deciding factor. So I'm excited to see that.
Awesome. And Stu, let's just get right into it with our dogs of the week now. I just got your pick here. So I'm going to type that in here. And I think we're both going with 3-point dogs here. I think yours is down to 2.5, at least on DraftKings. So people moving the way they want towards you in this one. I'll let you take it away first.
Yeah, I lost my first. The Browns are 3-point favorites.
That's what I mean. I had the Colts.
Okay, I was like, what the hell?
I was
Sorry.
just looking at it wrong. I typed it in wrong.
I like it.
You're
Trying to cheat the system out here. I support it.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. You gotta catch up.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, dropped my first dog of the week last week, standing up against the Lions freight train with the Buccaneers. It turned out being alone on the island was not the right move. I just sunk by myself instead of. So that was unfortunate right there. But I do like the Falcons as a bounce back. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit tough, but for me, it's kind of what I talked about on the DFS portion of the show with Bijan yesterday. I think this Buccaneers rush defense specifically is a little bit overrated, 4th in EPA per play, but that drops down to 18th in success rate so far this year. They've been generating a lot of turnovers, which is good. But I think if the Falcons can consistently move the ball down the field, keep the pace slow, I want to take the dog in any game that I think both teams probably score under 20 points. And that's the situation I see here, right? The Buccaneers defense has been pretty solid this season, but as we saw last week against the Lions, they could not move the ball when they got their opportunities. So for me, I see a low scoring game. I see an ugly situation right here. The whole world just saw the Falcons have a really rough outing. Everyone is low on Desmond Ridder right here. I think it's a solid bounce back spot where they cover the 3, and I would not be surprised if they won.
Yeah, no, then that's obviously Ritter's numbers and turnovers were bad, but they put up 400 yards of offense, right? I mean, that's still obviously a vast improvement over last year, right? A significant improvement over last year. I'm gonna be rolling with the Colts +3 against the Browns in this one. Even if Deshaun Watson plays, I'm not really too concerned. I like to. I obviously didn't like the first half from Gardner Minshew. That first half was terrible, and they just fell behind, right? But you start to see a little bit more confidence built throughout. And Michael Pittman, dude, every single time, they're just feeding the guy. And I think that we're going to start to see, hopefully, both backs getting into it a little bit more here. Obviously, Taylor every single week should get ramped up more and more. I'm hoping they run a little bit more 2-back sets because both those dudes are nice. And I think this is a spot here. I just don't think the Browns really score that much. And again, that's probably the same logic here for me, too, that you were talking about. When you have a total at 40, right, at a 40 total, and we get the home team as 3-point dogs, I'll take the home team in this one in a game that I think is going to be ugly anyway. So could be one of those ones where you just run the ball. Want to keep that. I mean, I just saw that Deshaun Watson's questionable still. Haven't really fully practiced either. So I don't really trust that passing game. And if it's just a dogfight on the ground, man, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay trying to cover that 3.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I checked the splits. I was expecting Gardner Minshew to suck against man coverage. He actually has historically better numbers against man coverage than he does against zone, which caught me off guard, to be completely honest, right there. And obviously, as we know, the Browns do play the most man coverage in the league by a decent amount right here. So My biggest thing is the Browns just have the best scoring defense in football. And like Gardner Minshew had the picks last week. He's notoriously pretty solid at keeping the ball. He's not one of those guys that's going to come in and chuck it down the field and be too crazy. But that Browns defense is really good. So I agree with you. Low scoring game. It's kind of the same situation. I'm just a little bit more hesitant. I'd almost wish like Watson does start and you get like the even better number, like the 4, maybe even the 4.5, depending on how much the market respects that difference. So I don't know. It'll be an issue. The dogs are kind of ugly this week. I don't know if people
they are.
Yeah, I took a big look, but it's not pretty. I'm not taking the Patriots at +8.5. That's for sure.
Well, also like if they didn't fall behind 27 last week against the Jaguars, they could have backdoor covered if they would have only been down like 14, right? And those backdoor covers, hey, they still cash, right? Those still cash. When the other team doesn't care if they're getting there, they still cash. And that's why I almost looked at the Cardinals too, because it's a full touchdown and a half. I kind of like them, but I'm too heavy on Geno because he's the GOAT this week. So let's take a look at the chat and we'll get right into our plays for the week. Thank you guys for tuning in. 30 of you guys in here live. Hit that like button if you haven't already. We got Ryan in here. First comment. Appreciate you, my friend. Yeah, Brian bringing up, hey, at least the games will be done faster, right? At least they'll be done faster if you trade the catches for the runs because maybe they get incompletions. At least the clock will keep running. And it'll only be like a 2-hour game. And then that's good for everybody, right? So, Ryan, we'll talk about that one of your spots that you like there in a second here. Matt popping in to say Derek Carr is S.A. I mean, I might just use that as my rant of the week and do another one, man. I might just keep talking about Derek Carr because, my God, dude. It's just trade Chris Olave, bro. Give him to somebody that actually use him because I'm tired of watching this man just get wasted there by an absolutely awful quarterback. Got Z-Man. Hey, appreciate you, man. Like and subscribe. We always appreciate that when you guys do that for us. Ryan bringing up a little bit there. The 2 times Miami's defense looked average. They were away. All of their wins have been in a dome or at home. Something to possibly think about. I mean, I think it'd be a lot different if this was like a month from now. It's tough now, It's tough because it's not going to be terrible, right? It's not going to be like even right now here in Wisconsin where it's going to be a lot worse. Probably it's 55, right? It's 55 degrees, nothing crazy. But yeah, it's not like the snow. That's why the home field advantage is so important. Oh, Ryan had to ruin your Falcons thing there. Hey, we don't need them to win, bro. We just need them to cover. We just want
and I just want to say too as well that Desmond Ridder was also undefeated at home in his whole career last week. That was a cool stat before it wasn't cool anymore, and the Commanders beat him. So that's all I'm saying. I think also Washington. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care about the Falcons that much. I'm not too worried about Ridder at home or on the road. I think he's bad in both situations. I think those splits matter more when you have a guy like Jared Goff who's been notoriously bad outside versus his career where he's been great in a dome. A guy like Ridder has been bad outside and bad inside.
Yeah, and obviously with those stats, like Goff obviously just nuked last week, just killed it last week on the road. But it was nice weather, bro. Like it was really nice outside. So it's like those obviously come with a little bit of a grain of salt on those. But let's I like how Stu's got these 2 plays in the nice games, in those big games there. I like to see that. I will kick it over. I don't think we have anything overlapping in games, so I will let you start us off here with your first spot.
Sounds good. We're going to Jalen Hurts over 9.5 rush attempts -110 over on Draftkings. We cashed on Jalen Hurts earlier in the season on the same exact play. And a lot of the analysis is going to be pretty similar to what I'm saying right now, which is we want a situation where Jalen Hurts is incentivized to run. We want anytime we're playing quarterback rushing. For me, I always like it on the prime time games, the marquee matchups, the important situational spots where you're going against another very good team, right? Because when you're playing some of these lesser teams, when you have the lead, your quarterback is not as willing to put his body on the line to take those extra yards to actually get you this bet. And we want to be on the same side as the quarterback, right? We don't want them against like the Patriots was a scary game, even though he had 9 rush attempts. Just because you knew they were most likely going to be in control, they were going to be from ahead, and there wasn't going to be any need to push the envelope. But I don't think that's the case right here. And what I also love, obviously, about Jalen Hurts, he has the most inherent advantage of any quarterback in the league because of the tush push, right? That is a rush attempt. So if you're betting the rush yards market, you don't really benefit too much from that. But anytime he's going forward, right, and having a positive gain on that play, that's a rush attempt. So he's averaging like 3 to 4 of those a game, which means he has the best built-in cushion of any quarterback there is out there. And we've seen it so far this year. He's gone over 8 in every single game so far this year. He has 10 in 3 of 6 games so far this year, and he has 9 in the other 2 misses right there. So he is always at or around this number so far this season. The biggest thing that pushes me over, and the reason I think he's going to go over this week, is the Miami defense, right? I talked about it with my first thoughts on the week at the beginning of the week when I said I don't want to play any overs in this game because I'm scared. Miami likes to limit explosive plays. They have the 2 deep safety looks, and they'd like to keep everything in front of them. And I think when Hurts is in that situation, I think he's going to be forced to more take those short gains, those little 5-6 yard runs on first down, where obviously they have a spy for him. They're not going to let Jalen Hurts beat them, but he's going to be able to steadily move the chains. They're going to control the pace of play, and they're going to move the ball down the field at their own pace. I think this is going to be a little bit of a slower game, at least if the Eagles are in control, than Dolphins fans would hope it would be. And I think that's the Eagles' path to victory right here. And as we know, Jalen Hurts is going to be a huge part of that. So I like how consistent he's been so far this year. I obviously love the matchup right here. We're going to see those deep safety looks. I see like 3 to 4, like 5-yard scrambles, nothing impressive. I don't know if he gets those downfield breaking runs that we normally get, but that's why I love this 9.5 rush attempt so much. And we obviously know in a high octane matchup where Mike McDaniels is going for it every single time they get in the red zone, there's no easy field goal at the 40-yard line right here. I think they're going to go for it. I think they're going to be very aggressive because that's the coaching style that they're in right here. And that obviously means more rush attempts for us. So I love the situational spot. Hurts has been extremely consistent. I see him getting into double digits pretty easily in this game.
Yeah, and this is the type of game you want, man, right? Both these coaches know field goals ain't winning this game. Yep. They ain't winning these games. And I think that obviously these guys know that ahead of time, right? And Sirianni's more than willing to go for it. And they've been doing it on 4th and 2 now, 3rd and 2, right? It's not even just the 4th and 1 anymore. They're going even for 2 yards because, they're hitting it at such a high clip. Why not, right? So,
and if you're an Eagles hater and you hate this play and you want it banned, well, then benefit off of it anyway. You can scream at your TV, fuck you, Jalen Hurts, I hate it, but make some money at the end of the day. That'll make you feel a little better. That's what I did as a Commanders fan. It worked for me. So little friendly advice at the end as well.
Beautiful. And I'll be heading to another -110 spot, but I'll be heading to the Tampa game. Very low total. Obviously, they're 3-point dogs. They're the dogs you were just talking about there. And Tampa's been really good against the run. You just talked about those metrics a little bit there. I still think Bijan's able to run the ball, but even last week, right? We just saw it against Washington last week. Well, they bottled up that run. They did a very good job at holding the run game down, and they're making Desmond Ridder win, right? And that's more than often is not going to work for Atlanta. They're not going to be winning too many games if they're going to let that happen. But what I did like is with that negative game script, he had 8 targets, right? He had 8 targets in that game, which obviously is impressive. I don't know if you know this, but Bijan Robinson this year on receptions, before last week, he only had three targets that were not catches. And then he had 3 targets that were not catches in that last game. So 6 total. But prior to that last week, he only had 3 total in that whole entire time of the season. This dude has been really efficient when he gets the opportunities. He is making the most of them, right? If you go, like I said, first week, 6 targets, 6 catches. Second week against the Packers, 5 targets, 4 catches, right? And obviously in that one, he beat the Packers a little bit more deep down the field here. I don't think that they're going to have that much time. I think they're going to have those dump downs, especially now that this is week 2 now where Drake London's actually been decent and Kyle Pitts has been decent. So now you have to worry about them, right? You weren't even worrying about them before. They've had 2 good games in a row. Obviously, fantastic matchups, right? Against Washington. That's a perfect matchup for it, where they're really good against the run, or at least been much better against the run than they have been against the pass. And I think that you're going to want to get Bijan in space, right? Tyler Algier is not going to be – I'm not worried about this with Tyler Algier really at all, right? He only has 10 targets on the year, only 6 catches. And we've seen even Bijan have 3 red zone targets in so far this year, which is pretty good for a running back, seeing as he runs the ball quite a bit in the red zone already. So 16% target share. Yes, I wish it was a little bit higher, but when you're converting at the rate that he's converting at, the 2-minute drill, He's been really good at that, just getting those dump offs like I talked about with TJ Hawkinson last week. If you want to go off of numbers and hitting it this year, he's hit this in, what has he hit it in? Every single game but one, and that being the Houston game where they ran him 14 times and Houston decided they were good that week on defense. So a lot of targets, like I said, 32 on the year. And when he's gotten them, he's had 5 targets in every single game outside of that Texans game. So you got to get this guy the ball, and you don't want to run it into the teeth of this defense. So give him like opportunities like they did with Kamara there, dumping off, right? This is the team that gave up 13 catches to Alvin Kamara because they could not run the football. So I'm expecting the same thing. Obviously, he's not going to run as many routes as Kamara, but I do expect him to do his thing and be open on a lot of these opportunities that he gets.
Yeah, no, I like this spot a lot. I mean, I just talked about the consistency, obviously, with Hurts. It's the same thing with Bijan. He had one down week, but besides that, he's been there every single week. And it makes a lot of logical sense, like you said, when you want to get your most explosive playmaker on offense the ball in as many creative ways as possible. And those little screens, those little dump downs are a good way to just get your best player the ball in space. And that's the goal of this Falcons offense. So I completely agree. I love this Bijan spot. We'll 100% be telling you right here.
Also, 3 one-handed catches already this year as well.
Yeah,
from
insane.
Awful passes.
Insane.
That's impressive because Desmond Ridder threw like awful passes in those situations. He still found a way to make something happen there. So just another thing, and obviously they're highlight reel catches, even though they go for like 3 yards. But hey, they count for us here, and hopefully we get a little jet sweep thrown in front of us, so we don't have to watch Tyler Algier run the ball 3 yards into the back like AJ Dillon. So had to get that in there. It's not a pass the prop without AJ Dillon slander. I really don't think it is.
And hey, all the Tyler Algier guys, I'm sure feel the same way. Or I mean, all the Bijan guys with Algier there. I'm sure that's their AJ Dillon as well. So, except the problem though is Algier actually scores touchdowns sometimes and actually plays pretty well. Well, your guy,
actually
unfortunately,
not awful.
Yeah, biggest disconnect right there, unfortunately.
Oh shit. All right, let's take a look at the chat here. We have a couple. Oh gosh, Coop talking about my Packers. Yeah, dude, Packers are 1-point favorites in Denver, dude. I don't know. I won't touch anything in that game. That's gonna be so gross. I'm starting Russell Wilson because I have to in one league. So, oh god, this is gonna be one of those weeks where I'm starting Jerry Jeudy, Javonte Williams, and Russ, and I do not feel comfortable about any of them. So that is where I'm at. I haven't heard anything even from the beat writers around here, so I haven't heard anything at all. Okay, so this is interesting. We have 2 guys, Ryan talking about DeAndre Swift over 61.5 rushing. Got to keep the Dolphins off the field. I think we get a heavy dose of Swift. And then we have DFS LFG talking about Swift receptions have been the new wagon. Is this a game where you want to roll out DeAndre Swift? Is this a spot? I mean, primetime game. He showed out in his one primetime spot already this year where he got the start. Is this a spot where you want to roll Swift? And if you do, is it just a rushing receiving, or is it, one or the other?
I don't actually mind both, but I think I would prefer receptions right here. It goes along with the same exact game script I was just talking about. Of obviously, we know what Miami wants to do. They want to limit those explosive plays, and we know what the Eagles want to do. They want to control the pace and slowly move down the field. So a heavy dose of DeAndre Swift is very involved in that game script. It just kind of becomes, do you think he's more involved in the receiving game or the rushing game? And then where do you trust him more? For me, I trust him more in the receiving game. So that's inherently where I'm going to lean right there, especially Miami's been top 5 in quick pressure rate so far this season. Lane Johnson is questionable right there. We know the quick pressure could be a big deal. That means quick dump downs, get your running back the ball fast. So for me, it would be a lean to receptions, but I like both. It goes along with what I've been saying.
Awesome. I don't think there's any other things in the chat here for questions. At least that's what I've checked. There, we got 43 live viewers in here, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Helps us out a ton, and we will get it on. We will go right on to it. Play number 3 and 4.
Sounds good. Yep, we're going over here to the Austin Ekeler train. A guy that we talked about just the other day. Obviously, we were on Past the Prop here. They had the primetime matchup. And a guy that he's going to be very popular this week, I think. Oh, also, sorry, minus 125. There's a better price. Bet Rivers and MGM of minus 125. DraftKings is minus 130. So they're all good, but you can get a nice 5 cent better price. Also, if you have 365, then you obviously can get it at minus 120 because they just always have the best price no matter what. Shout out to them. But I love Austin Ekeler in this matchup right here. He's posted 4 receptions in both games so far this season. But for me, this is obviously the highest upside opportunity of the season right here. And when you logically think through this game, for me, it becomes abundantly clear that Austin Ekeler has to be super involved if the Chargers want to have a chance in this one. Because when you look at this Chiefs defense, it's not the same joke of a Chiefs defense we've had in years past, where any team can pass on them. They're a laughable team. This has been a good defense so far, not only in the rush game, which I don't see Austin Ekeler having much success in. And the books agree with me, by the way. Only 12 and a half rush attempts and in the mid 40s on most sports books for rush yards. So the sports books are pretty high on this Kansas City Chiefs defense. And that's fair, right? That's for good reason. It's very hard to run in the Chiefs because you're normally not going to be ahead against the Chiefs, right? You're not going to have that situation where you're that comfortable in that game script. And now the defensive line is playing even better. When you look at the secondary, they've been playing very well as well. And I think Keenan Allen is kind of a lock to get yourself, the 10 catches, at least 11 or 12 targets in this game, and a high volume passing attack without Mike Williams. He's a lock right there. Then you look at a guy like Joshua Palmer, who's going to be the wide receiver number 2. He faces a pretty tough matchup, considering the fact that Allen is running a lot of his routes over the middle. He's going to see a lot of Trent McDuffie. Snead becomes a very tough matchup for a wide receiver 2 and Palmer out there. I think he's at an extreme disadvantage in that, as you can see on the FTN matchup website and PFF as well. Both grading systems have that as a pretty rough matchup right there. So when you kind of account for if Justin Herbert's going to throw the ball 37, 38 times, he's going to have 24, 25 completions. You can start kind of building out who's going to be the beneficiary of that in your head. And if you even lock in 10 right there for Keenan Allen, for me, a guy like Joshua Palmer, a much tougher matchup. I see him in the 4 to 5 range. That still gives you 9, 10 more completions to work on in an average game for Justin Herbert. Not even a good game, not even accounting for how fast paced of an offensive shootout this game could be. There's still 10 targets up for grab. Obviously, Gerald Everett is probably going to steal you 3 or 4, get those nice low A-dot targets. Donald Parham will probably take another one. Beyond that, I think Austin Ekeler has all the room in the world to dominate in the receiving game right here. I think the wide receivers are going to have a tougher time on the outside. I think the Chargers are likely going to be trailing in this game. And I think Austin Ekeler, as he eases into this offense, is going to look more and more comfortable. So I know he's had 4 receptions. He's come up just short of this in both games so far this season. But when I really start to think through this game and think who has the clear advantages, I think Austin Ekeler really jumps out the page in the receiving game.
Beautiful breakdown. I'd like to see all the work he got last week already. I know he was inefficient, right? But it doesn't matter, right? I think in those first games back, it's not even what you do. It's like, how often does your coach trust you out there? And obviously he threw him out there even on 27 rushing yards on how many freaking carries, right? So, definitely like Ekeler. Loved his volume. And man, I never want to watch Joshua Kelly run the ball again. Damn, that was bad. That was so inefficient, bro. Like you can say whatever you want to say about Ekeler getting 12 for 27, but at least the dude's running hard and is putting effort in. It just looked like Joshua Kelly's just there. Hey, I'm here. Give me that paycheck and let me get out of here.
It was ugly. It was real ugly. To someone that played him in DFS, not one time, but multiple times. He fooled me multiple times. So I, of course, had to watch it and then watch my failure in real time. It's brutal. Never want to see that guy again. Give me Isaiah Spiller or anyone else.
Oh, God, dude. That's digging. You're digging deep for that one. That's gross. But hey, yeah, I lost some money on him as well. So let's go to my last play. Going to plus money. Still can't believe it's plus money. I just looked it up again. Plus 101 right now. I'm on Amon-Ra St. Brown, 60 yards receiving, and Geno Smith, 225. Obviously, Amon-Ra is my wagon guy. He's been an absolute wizard for me. 60 yards he's hitting every single game but one, and that being the Green Bay game where, they made it their thing to try to shut down St. Brown, and that was in the first half. He still ended up getting 5 catches. The entire second half, they just ran the football the entire time, right? Ran the clock, right? I mean, that's what they did. I think he only had 1 catch in the second half. So that's what ended up happening there. Now you have no David Montgomery, right? So if no David Montgomery, even with Gibbs, I don't expect him to be the bell cow, or at least I expect him to be out there for the plays, but I don't expect him to be getting 20 carries, right? It's going to still be opportunities in the passing game. But hey, I know Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be open in this game, right? He is going to. He's obviously getting targeted like crazy. 15 targets last week, second to only Stephon Diggs. It wasn't even close, dude. This dude was open on every single play, running slants, running deeper routes, which I like to watch. And now you actually have a threat over the top with Jameson Williams, which is awesome because those slant routes are going to be even more wide open now. Because we saw Jameson Williams get his one catch, right? And there's your touchdown. But that play gave St. Brown 2 or 3 more free plays underneath where you just get those easy slants, go down for 8-10 yards. And if you're going to ask me if he's going to get 6 catches in this game, I will say yes. It is minus 190 on most books for that line. So if I just need 10 yards a pop, I think he's getting his 6 catches. Really like that spot. And then going over to Geno, the only thing you're worried about is Kenneth Walker, and obviously him just going crazy on these guys. He's got a 16.5 rush attempt prop. But also you look at Geno, when he's thrown the ball 30 times, he's actually hit this number in every single game. His prop's in at 31, right? So the only 2 games that he missed this year through 25 and 26 times, they're juicing it over to the over at 31.5 attempts. If they give me 30 attempts, he is going to hit this. He is. And like I said, you go up every single game he's done against, right? Cincinnati, 41 times, 326. Carolina, 36 times, 300. Detroit, 41 times, 328, right? And those are significantly better defenses than this Arizona Cardinals defense. And this Cardinals team, in my opinion, should probably sell out to stop the run because Kenneth Walker has just been an absolute beast. You just saw what happened in the second half of your game last week. Stafford threw the ball 3 times in the second half. Kyren Williams had 150 yards in the second half. McCaffrey's diced you. Tony Pollard's diced you. And now you're going to have a guy who is more than willing to go 5 yards a pop and just walk down the field. You're going to have to sell out to stop the run. Then you got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett out there, obviously both 20+% target share. I think that we could see a couple big plays here, which will just absolutely boost this number up. I don't see anyone being able to stop DK. I don't see anybody being able to stop Tyler Lockett. And then just throw a little bit JSN in there just for a little bit extra 50 yards. I'll take it. I really like the spot for Geno, and sign me up. 225 might ladder it as well.
Yeah, no, you told me this spot right before we went live, and I was shocked it was plus money, honestly. I mean, we've done so well with these Amon-Ra St. Brown alt lines so far in his career because he just has such a nice, safe floor as opposed to a lot of wide receivers who are so boom or bust. We know how good the volume is. And I told you even before the show, I was thinking I would like Laporta this week. He's done so good for me this year. Dude, the Ravens, we know their linebacker core is good. Roquan obviously is amazing. Patrick Queen, a very good linebacker core. I still figured some guys had some good weeks, but man, they've shut down the tight end position so far this season. Hamilton as well, the safety, already making an impact in multiple different ways, forcing fumbles, tackles, interceptions. That guy's looking like a stud already. I agree. I think they're going to need to look to do this in a creative way right here. So love this combo. Definitely like the spot. Geno 225 is a good line as well. Obviously, you get that alt to buy down the value. To me, I think buying down quarterback passing yards is probably the best value of any market there is. I don't know if you agree, but I think you get the most bang for your buck there, especially when you like a guy. So I definitely like this combo.
Yeah, especially when you have like that little bit of doubt in the back of your head. Like there's that one thing that could stop you. And these lines are always so sharp, man. If I get 25 yards, that's big. That's a huge discount. Like I said, Jamar Chase goes for 3 touchdowns on these guys. Number 1 receivers. How are you going to stop DK? Right. That's what I'm saying. He didn't practice last week, so I'm not worried about him missing because he did not practice Wednesday or Thursday last week and then still played, fully participated Friday and was fine. So not really worried there. It's just I just wish Geno had a tight end, bro. Like that's what he used to just cook with those guys. I don't even have one anymore. I think Noah Fant's there, but I haven't even heard anything from that man at all. No tight end with over a 10% target share, dude. I just like that's what I just assume with Seattle. You know, when you see Seattle, they always have a good tight end, and obviously now is not the case.
Well, you look out there and you see Kobe Parkinson make his like 3rd catch in the last 4 years, and you're like, is he still on the roster? Like, it's a random guy every single week there. But yeah, it's that production you can't bet on unless you have the quarterback, because half those guys aren't even listed most of the time.
Yeah, and I don't want to guess which one of them is going to pop off either. So just makes it a little bit easier.
Will Dissly, that's another one. He's always going to get you a 9-yard catch.
No, thank you. I am perfectly content without that. But yeah, we got a couple questions, and we might be out of here a little bit earlier today. So Brian bringing up in that same game, Marquise Brown, 56.5, 31 targets in 3 games, hit this number twice. Is Seattle a defense that you're willing to want to go against here? Obviously, still no James Conner. Looks like Keontae Ingram will be getting the start at the running back position. Only had 10 carries last week, so maybe a little bit more air raid out there. Maybe we see a little bit more. Maybe he tries to show out before Kyler comes in, right?
Yeah, you kind of have to at least lean to the over just with how unconfident I am in the rush game, right? Like, how are they going to move the ball down the field? Keontae Ingram has not looked good. DeMarcado did look better, but he was not even the lead back, right? He was operating as kind of a backup right there. So maybe we see a transition there, but I'm just not comfortable in their rush game. So at a certain point, you have to throw the ball. You're likely trailing. That's what the game script says. That's what the Vegas line is saying right here. And Marquise Brown is clearly the number 1 target. So it's kind of hard not to like it. Obviously, it's a tougher matchup on the outside. He's going to be running most of his routes on the perimeter. So he's going to be seeing a lot of Tariq Woolen, some occasional Witherspoon, the rookie who's been pretty good so far. So not an easy matchup, but I think it's one of those that volume is going to get him there, even if the matchup isn't spectacular.
Good looks. We got Cashville in here. We appreciate you, my man. Hit that like button for us. We appreciate it, man. Yeah, I guess we are OJs. Three years, man. We are OGs. We've been here for a minute, man. Still no gray hair though. We're so good. We ain't the real OGs yet, but we're there. I guess we didn't actually pick one. Would you pick receptions or rush attempts? I would just, if I'm gonna do anything rushing, I usually just take his longest rush. I like DeAndre Swift in those like perimeter options, but I never usually take his rush attempts. I don't know if that's just me watching him with the Lions for so long, where they just never used him. And I would only ever bet his longest anything. So maybe I just haven't adjusted how I play DeAndre Swift. But Stu, you got a thought on this one at all? Or it's tough for me with Hurts because he's always going to run in those situations versus dumping off.
Yeah, for me, it's still a slight lean to receptions just because I agree with you. Historically, Hurts hasn't been great, but seeing him recently make the effort to take those checkdowns is encouraging. And I just think it's going to be so crucial in this game script, especially if things go according to plan. And if things don't go according to plan, then you cash as well. That's the beautiful part about receptions. If you're trailing this game, if everything gets thrown off script, then you're going to need those dump downs, especially on the 2-minute drill against prevent defenses, stuff like that. So still a slight lean to receptions, but I like both of them. I think he has a good day. Maybe rushing, receiving is the move. Who knows? That market is so annoying 90% of the time because they tack on that extra 5 to 6 yards, which to me makes it more plus EV to just find the market you like more. So it's slightly receptions, but I agree. I'm glad everyone's kind of on the same page with DeAndre Swift this week. I think he has a good turnout.
Awesome. I don't think we have too many other questions. All right. Let's do our recaps too. I don't think we have our long shots put in yet, but let's do our long shots after we do a quick recap.
Sounds good. I'm starting out. Jalen Hurts over 9.5 rush attempts, -110 over on Draftkings. Then we went over to Austin Ekeler over 4.5 catches, -125. Bet Rivers, MGM, and then 365 is -120 as well if you have that book.
Beautiful. I'm going to be rolling Amon-Ra St. Brown, 60 receiving yards, plus Geno, 225, plus 101. And then we got Bijan Robinson over 3.5 catches at -110 over on DraftKings Sportsbook. Stu, it's that time. I know there's a lot of them that aren't out yet. For like those alt receptions and stuff like that. But is there a spot that you're looking at here for your long shot of the week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the kind of chalky name right here in a market I don't bet too often. I'm going Cooper Kupp to have 2 touchdowns at plus 700. When you look at wide receiver 1 so far this year, they've absolutely dominated this opposing team. But when you look even closer, a wide receiver has scored 2 touchdowns, a wide receiver 1, not just any wide receiver, not nitpicking random names. The wide receiver 1 has scored 2 touchdowns in half of their games so far this year. In 3 of the 6 games, the opposing wide receiver 1 has scored 2 or more touchdowns. And hey, FanDuel's giving us a great number right here. MGM has this at 320. A couple other books have it at 400. FanDuel is giving this to us at plus 700. We saw him extremely involved in the red zone last week. It's one of those that I'm very surprised he's even plus 100 for his regular touchdown. But even when you see a guy in that range, they're normally in the plus 400, plus 500 range for 2 touchdowns. Now you subtract any viable rush game. Look who was scoring all the touchdowns. Kyron Williams sucked his way down the field and then vultured 2 touchdowns to save his fantasy day every single week. You take that out now, right? It's like a collection of random guys. Myles Gaskin, Darrell Henderson coming off of the street corner. Guy hasn't played in a year. It's a rough spot in the red zone rushing attack. I think they have to turn to Cooper Kupp right here. And I mean, what better red zone weapon to target? So I love this plus 700 price. I think we're getting a good deal on FanDuel.
Love it. Love it. And you're going to beat me this week on the long shot. I did have one that I liked, but they don't have it up on FanDuel. And FanDuel, I know, is going to probably have a better line on this one as well, but it's not out yet. I'm just going to go DK to 100 yards. I'm going to be going on those long, deep pass plays. Geno is known has a great deep ball, man. He has a great deep ball. If I'm going to have one-on-one coverage out there, which I'm assuming we're going to get because I'm guessing that whole first quarter is Kenneth Walker, 6-yard carries all the way down the field. And it's like, oh, maybe we should stop that. Play action fake. We get that deep ball. And I think DK is coming down with it. I do like his touchdown as well. But it's just, it's tough for me right now, especially when you have a running back like Kenneth Walker to want to take his touchdown, right? That's what's tough. Because he's just a monster right now, dude. He scores every single game. I swear to God, minus 185 for him, and it's only giving me plus 115. So he's good in the red zone, but he's also very, very good, very, very fast, and can beat anybody down the field if they decide they want to. I'm expecting this to happen on a couple of those play action fakes where you run it down the field. You got those deep routes. You got Tyler Lockett across the middle and having DK get sent down there. We've seen Jamar Chase cook them. And that was the same type of game script I expect here, where you saw Joe Mixon go 25 carries for 85 yards, right? Just showing enough to have those play action fakes work and then have one-on-one deep. And I expect DK to have a couple of those big catches this week. But plus 115 for his touchdown, dude. I want to bet it, but this just seems like way too good of a price he could have 3 catches and hit this, dude.
Yeah, no, I like the spot a lot. Obviously, it's one of those where DK Metcalf is one of the few wide receivers with that proven downfield usage that can absolutely destroy man, zone. It doesn't really matter. Whatever you throw at him, he is obviously going to have a good attempt. And obviously, the yak opportunity. There's so few guys with that high-end acceleration where they can actually complete like a 70-yard catch. You notice most guys get tackled near the goal line. It kind of comes up short. We've seen it. DK has that top end acceleration that can extend those deep plays and obviously cash you these long shots. So I agree. I want to get some DK Metcalf exposure this week. I definitely think this is a good way to do it.
Awesome. Yeah. And be on the lookout on FanDuel as well. Usually they have really good lines on those 100 alts, but still nothing yet.
Do you mind if I shout out my sack parlay I made real quick before the show as well?
Sure.
I think it's a good one right here. You can get Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Max Crosby to each have a sack at plus 471. Max Crosby going against Justin Fields, the old sack king, right? Kayvon Thibodeau going against the new sack king and Sam Howell. So Justin Fields and Sam Howell are your borderline.
Brian Hoyer.
Wait, what? Who's Brian Hoyer?
Is it?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, Brian Hoyer. Sorry. Yeah, my bad. You have elite matchups on both sides. And then you also add in Aiden Hutchinson, who for me, I like sacks against rushing quarterbacks because if you have a designed run and it's -1 yard, then guess what? That's a sack right there. We know Aiden Hutchinson is obviously one of the best pass rushers in the league. I believe he leads all defensive ends in QB pressure so far this season. He's great in the run game as well. Thibodeau, Crosby, Hutchinson, 3 elite sack targets out there at plus 471. I think you can do a lot worse. I've been having fun with these defensive parlays. So I would throw that in there. Why not?
So 1 full sack. Is that what you're saying? 1 full?
Yep.
Okay.
Or, well, sorry. Both of them are a half sack. Or Hutchinson and Thibodeau are a half sack, and Crosby is a full sack.
Okay. Just because I know that those are actually the ones where you can actually get half if you split with someone. So just just to confirm for those guys out there who haven't bet in that market before. All right, guys, I think that's it. We got through this one pretty quick. So if you guys could, so 35 of you guys in here an hour later, hit that like button. We always appreciate the support that you guys give us. And Stu, what do you got for the people before we head out?
Yeah, I mean, make sure, obviously, like you said, you're liking, following, sharing the show. That helps us a lot. The more people that get eyes on it, I mean, the longer we can do it. We're here 3 years so far. It's going pretty good. We've made a lot of people money. And obviously, the goal is just to keep that going as long as possible. The best way you guys can help out with that is, like I said, sharing it around. Tell your grandmother, tell your cousin. We're doing good stuff over here. And hey, you don't even have to listen to the ranting, the talking. You can just skip to this last little end. That's the secret sauce for the guys that don't know out there. You skip to the end, you get the plays. You don't even have to care what we're saying. But for those of you that stick through the whole time, we appreciate you. We know there's a lot of you that you like to watch us yell at each other and hate on our teams. That is much appreciated. So I think it's a great show. I think we got some good plays today. I'm looking forward to keep on making some money.
Yes, sir. Drop a comment after if you guys have any other questions in there. We'll make sure to get to those. Obviously, we got 2 days before this slate starts there. We're going to be throwing some parlays in there as well. We might throw all 4 of these in there. I like all these spots. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the support as always. Hit that like button on the way out, and we will see you on Monday for another round here for Pass the Prop. Hopefully, Terrence will pop in here after the show and give us that long shot odds because it's going to hit. So have a good one, guys, and we'll see you on Monday.